Let's talk a little bit about the latent footprint that was found outside of Dylan's door. In the last couple days, I've seen several people discussing this again and saying that it was a size 10. Then I saw another person insist it was a 9. And then those two people got into an argument. And then I saw somebody else on another channel claim that it was a size 8. Law enforcement has never said what size that footprint is. Let me show you the probable cause affidavit, which is where we found out about the latent footprint to begin with. Okay, here's what the probable cause affidavit said. During the processing of the crime scene, investigators found a latent shoe print. This was located during the second processing of the crime scene by ISP forensic team by first using a presumptive blood test and then amido black, a protein stain that detects the presence of cellular material. The detected shoe print showed a diamond-shaped pattern, similar to the pattern of a Vans type shoe sole, just outside of DM's bedroom, located on the second floor. This is consistent with DM's statement regarding the suspect's path of travel. Notice what it doesn't say in there? A size. It lists no footprint size. It also doesn't say that it was a Vans. It just says Vans type. So I'm hearing a lot of people saying, well, Dylan wears Vans, so I bet it's her footprint. It says Vans type. Could be a Vans, may not be a Vans, probably isn't a Vans, we don't know. Because it's sealed. They haven't told us. And also, it's not Dylan's footprint. It's not anyone that lived in the house's footprint. They would not have included it in the probable cause affidavit if it was one of the roommates or Ethan's. It's in there because they believe it belongs to the suspect and it was to obtain an arrest warrant. And they only list one footprint because that backs up Dylan's information about him walking by her room. So for all the people saying, oh, was he on one leg and hopped through the house? Just because one footprint is mentioned in the probable cause affidavit doesn't mean that that was the only print found in the house. And now let's clear something up about latent footprints. I'm going to show you with water. So I just stepped in some water. And when you look at my very first footprints, you'll see how heavy it is, like how much water transferred onto the concrete. And as I continue to walk, look at how light it gets. Until you get down to this one, you can barely see the water. This one, even less. By the time you're here, that is barely visible. And my footprint down here, you can't even see the water anymore. As the suspect walked through the house, any liquid or blood that was on the bottom of his shoe would have transferred off with each step. So each step, that transfer gets lighter and lighter and lighter. So by the time he was outside Dylan's door, that print was so light, it's what they call latent. So latent basically means that something is there, but it's not visible. It's not readily visible. So like to the human eye, you wouldn't see it. But when you use the chemicals, that brings it forward. So like latent fingerprints, this latent shoe print. That also doesn't mean that it was cleaned. In fact, it very much was not cleaned up because they got a usable sole pattern off of it. Had somebody tried to clean it, had mopped over the area, had used a paper towel to try to wipe it up, it would have been so smeared they would have never got a diamond-shaped pattern off of it. So the fact that it was there and it was latent gives you a good indication that it was not cleaned up. So we will have to wait for trial to hear what size shoe print it was and to hear if any of Koberger's shoes matched up with it. But one thing we know for sure, well, actually two things we know for sure. It doesn't belong to Dylan or anyone in the house, and it wasn't cleaned up. And, well, third, we don't know the size. So if anybody's telling you they know the size, ask them where they heard that information because law enforcement has not released any of that.